I'm Bear Grylls. I've served with the British Special Forces, I've climbed to the summit of Everest and crossed the frozen oceans of the Arctic. Now, my challenge is to go alone into one of America's deadliest places, the Rocky Mountains. Millions of people visit every year.
Quick.
2,000 don't return alive.
You've got to get right away.
I'm going into one of the most remote areas of the Rockies with only the clothes I'm wearing to show you how to be an ultimate survivor. I'm flying at 10,000 feet over the Rockies, somewhere near the Canadian border. Since most people who end up in trouble here are caught by surprise, my team has arranged one for me. At any moment, the pilot will tell me to jump. Where, I don't know. I don't have a map, spare clothing, water or food, not even a cell phone. My mission is simple. Use all my skills to get out alive in under 5 days. Camera crew will follow me on the ground, but the rules are very clear. No interaction with me is allowed. They can intervene only in a matter of life or death.
That really hurts.
This is always a danger when jumping into the unknown. This is only the second time I've had a problem with my landing. The first time, I broke my back.
I've got to somehow try and work out a way of getting out of here.
I'm at least 60 feet up. If I jump, I'll break my leg. There's only one way out of this, and it's something I've never done before. I'm going to have to use my emergency parachute to get me down.
And now what I've got to try and do is climb down the canopy of this. But when I drop, keep hold of one side of it so I bring it down with me, because I'm going to need these rigging lines for getting myself out of this place I got myself into. And the final thing I've got to remember is when I land from this height, it's going to be about a 20-foot drop off the bottom of this. I've got to roll, land my legs, feet together, and avoid landing like a sack of potatoes. So here goes. I'm down in a bit of a mess, but out of that tree. The one light thing that I managed to salvage from my parachute were some of these rigging lines. And I'm going to be doing things like crossing ravines, rivers, climbing cliffs, and to have something that can hold my weight, I can lash logs together with, and also catch fish, is going to be a real benefit to me out here.
Getting lost in the mountains can be terrifying, and it's much easier than you might think. In June 2005, an 11-year-old Boy Scout, Brennan Hawkins, was out hiking with his group when he just simply vanished. After 4 days of intensive searching, he was found severely dehydrated, only 5 miles from his camp. His rescuers believe that if it hadn't been the month of June, he would have died of hypothermia. If you do get lost like Brennan, try to keep calm and come up with a plan. And my plan is simple, to get my bearings and look for a river. There's an old rule that's a good one when you're lost in the wild. Find a stream or a river, then hunt for a track, because that will lead you to a road and safety. But that's easier said than done. The Rockies are over 750,000 square miles of wilderness, covering 7 US states and 2 Canadian. I could be looking for a very long time. Although it's September, the weather here can be really deceptive. During the day, like now, it's around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, but later at night, it can drop to below 0. They say there are just 2 seasons in the Rockies, June and winter.
It's about 5 p.m. now and it's almost dusk, and there's probably only about an hour of light left. And the priority really for me now is to find shelter and something to eat. Okay, the key to building a shelter is you want something that's going to keep you warm, it's going to keep you dry, but above all, it's not going to expend a huge amount of energy to build. And what I'm going to do is make what they call a debris shelter. And it's really simple to do. All I do is pick this thing up. Drag it along, and I've got my base of it here. And then really just try and clear all these under branches and get all of this moss and pine needles. And I'll do this now on both sides, and then I need just to find loads of moss.
Moss like this for the roof is going to protect me from the wind and the rain.
This is going to be beautiful, and it's going to keep me really snug.
With temperatures approaching near freezing at night, the inside of the shelter could be as much as 10 degrees warmer.
And one of the most important things I've done here is really put masses and masses of pine needles as a kind of ground bedding here. And the reason this is so important is you lose the majority of your heat through your body and through the ground. But with enough of this is going to hold the heat and insulate me above and below. While I'm building the shelter and turning over loads of logs, often when you go under these, things, you'll find, here you go, look, little like millipedes.
Surviving in the wild is all about finding food using the least amount of energy. But I've got to check these have got 4 legs per body segment. Centipedes are very similar, but have only 2 and can give you a nasty bite.
Disgusting as it looks, but it's good protein. One of the things I haven't got that would be so useful for me out here is a knife. And one of the easiest way of improvising a knife is to make what they call a disc knife. And the way you can do this is just to grab what we call a hammer stone and a normal bit of stone and give it a good. And here we go, look, that's a really good bit sharp bit of flint that I'll be able to gut fish with and use for feather sticks, making tinder and loads of different things.
As night falls, it's getting much colder, and I need to get a fire going.
Okay, try and get some firewood here. Do a bit more here. Whoa, 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 look, come here, quick. Snake.
A rattlesnake, one of the Rockies' deadliest creatures.
Is he dead? Maybe I was going to give him another go. Oh, my heart's really thumping. That's why you've got to be so careful looking under these sort of logs, but I really actually hate snakes, and it's definitely made me a little less comfortable about my shelter, but that is going to make a good bit of dinner. Before it gets dark, I really need to get a fire going.
And the best way out here in the Rockies, with all this dry pine and spruce, is a hand drill method. Use your rock to make a notch in a log, and by rotating the drill, ignite a spark with very dry kindling. It's not easy. Be prepared, it can take a long time.
Just shows how sharp actually these stones can be.
My disc knife is already proving useful. First thing to do is to get rid of the venomous head.
Okay, that's the head off. I peel this a little bit back. Here she comes. And that's all the guts then coming out. Get rid of the last bit of the guts. And that's the skin, all its back end. That is going to be beautiful meat. One of the things that's really important is to make sure I never leave any of the guts of any of the animals that I'm eating lying around. This sort of stuff, any guts is really going to attract wolves or bears, and I don't want any of them anywhere near where I am. So what I'm going to do is put that on the fire to burn, along with that head that's full of all the venom. And again, I want that to be burnt well and truly. So there we go. And then I'm going to cook this baby. And have a jam the top bit of the meat into this stick. Wrap this round. That is ready for the barbie.
This area is full of grizzlies, and they can smell food up to 20 miles away, so I have to be extra vigilant. I recently heard a story about a husband and wife team who were stalked by a grizzly in their campsite while they slept. The grizzly dragged the man away, ripping his scalp off. Luckily, the grizzly lost interest, and the couple both ran 10 miles before feeling safe again.
I reckon this is cooked now, and a good way of trying to tell is if you can peel the fibres off of this meat. It's generally a sign it's pretty well cooked. And they also normally taste quite like chicken. And it's beautiful. That is really, really good.
It's time to turn in. I wonder how much sleep I'll get, and if I'm really alone.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this. Just turning this camera on. I don't know if you can hear this, but there's definitely something scurrying around outside, and it's probably just a deer, but there you go, you can hear it again, can you hear? There's definitely something out here. I just heard a really heavy footstep out there, and I don't know, I'm gonna try and see if I can see anything with the camera, but there's something that moved past the shadow of the fire. And it's so hard to tell what it is, but it sounded just... I don't like this at all. I don't like this. Come on now. There's definitely something moving. I just can't make out what it is. I haven't heard from it now for a few minutes. It might well have just moved away, but sure as hell it knows I'm here. And it knows I've eaten food here. And I don't know a huge amount about bears. What I do know is that if they come into your camp and they see you there, you need to clear that camp and fast. It's the middle of the bloody night. It's just the middle of the night and I don't know. I just don't want to go charging off anywhere. But I just don't know what I'm going to do.
I lay very still and silent for some time. I couldn't hear any movement outside. But if whatever was out there came back, I might not be so lucky. It was time to go.
I've just got to get right away from this area now. Moving at night is never ideal, but I've got just no choice.
At the moment, the camera lights are helping me move much faster.
One of the real dangers of moving at night time is just running off and then getting lost. And the easiest way of navigating when you haven't got a compass is just to use the heavens, use the stars on a beautiful, clear night like this. You can easily pick out the North Star just by seeing the Big Dipper over there, taking the last 2 stars of the Big Dipper, and then going 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will point directly at the North Star. It's a star on its own. It's not the brightest star, but it's clear and it's on its own, and it's about the only star that won't move. You can't navigate by following other stars for more than about 15 minutes. They'll start to shift, but the North Star is a constant. It's that way. We want to be heading south, away from these mountains. People are often scared about moving at night time, but suddenly I just remember my time in the Special Forces, we'd always only move at night time, and it's just a question of getting comfortable with it, slowing down and tuning in your senses. And you can hear here there's a stream obviously nearby, and it's just learning to take it slow and feel your way, move branch aside, feel with your feet. And actually after about 40 minutes you get very, very good night vision, and under a clear sky like this where there's a strong moon, it can become almost easy as daylight, and once you get into that rhythm. I've been moving now for almost 24 hours, and I'm tired and I'm cold, and if I'm honest, I'm just a little bit scared that this grizzly's still in this area, and I really just want to get right away from here now. I'm walking over here. I've just noticed a lot of the grass has been flattened. That's probably where deer and elk have just been hanging out. You can see this is probably where badgers have been burrowing around looking for bugs and scrubs, and I bet if I have a good dig around in here, I'll find something that I can eat as well.
The rattlesnake was my last meal some 12 hours ago. I'm using up a lot of energy. Being on the move like this burns around 6,000 calories a day. And to stay alert, I'm going to need more food.
And there you go, look, that's what these guys were probably eating last night. Worms.
Believe it or not, worms and insects are 80% protein. Beef's only around 20. So it's easy energy, even if not the most tasty.
And keep those for later. It's going to rain soon, and there are loads of signs in nature that forecast the weather. And if you look up at the sky at the moment, you've got this cloud formation of what's called banded cirrus, and that's basically these fingers of clouds that go across the sky, and often that moves in front of a low pressure. Also, when it's going to rain, sounds tend to carry much further, and that's basically just a moisture-laden atmosphere acting a little bit like an amplifier. And with that, you'll often get a very distinct smell of the forest, as basically nature's just beginning to open up, ready to receive the rain.
Then several hours later, the nightmare of last night becomes real once more.
Oh, quick. Now that is definitely a grizzly track, and just look at the size of that paw, man. And as you can tell from just the compression of the earth here and the displacement of the soil from the claws, this is probably only an hour or two old, and by the size of that, that could well be a 600-pound bear. And I don't know if it's me just imagining it, but it seems like this bear is just playing with me. But yeah, we want to get out of here. Come on then, let's go. The last 4 or 5 hours, I've been moving through an area that's just been completely, devastated by a forest fire, and it's cleared a lot of this ground of the trees, the bush, and the scrub. But it is, though, working now in my favour, and I can move much faster through this terrain, and all of this is good and soft underfoot as well.
Whoa! I'm lost in the Rockies for the second day, and I've just come across my first major obstacle. If you're ever in a situation like this and need to escape quickly, there is only one option.
Yeah, this is a big jump. This must be 70 foot, and it is. Yeah, this is dangerous.
At 70 feet, if I hit wrong, it would be like hitting concrete.
It is manageable as long as you enter the water correctly. But I can't stress enough just how careful you've got to be jumping off anything really more than about 20 feet. And a big danger of jumping into these sort of rivers is first of all shallow water, but secondly rocks, both of which can break your legs, which in an environment like this on your own can be fatal. But the technique really for doing this is to make sure that you jump feet first, keep absolutely vertical, keep your legs together, and clench your backside. And you can guess the reason for that one. Okay. Who knows? No way the grizzly's gonna jump that. And that is definitely going to have broken my scent trail.
Now I've found a big river, I'm more hopeful about finding a track and ultimately a road. This river can also keep me alive, with water and food. The riverbank can also provide the odd piece of garbage, which can be a lifesaver.
It's an old camp that's been used, and this probably would have been used by a hunter or a tracker, ending up to 5 or 10 years ago. But when you get the chance to scavenge, you've got to use these sort of things, and this sort of tin would be really useful for collecting water in. And actually, there's even an old plastic bag under here. It's probably a bit holy, but take it.
Also keep your eyes open for natural elements that can help you, like these cattails.
These things are absolutely brilliant. You can use them for so many different tasks. If you take the top of a cattail and twist it, this stuff is so light and makes just brilliant tinder for a fire. And also you can use lots of this to insulate a jacket and keep you warm. If you move down the cattails, the actual shaft of it here is great for making arrows, really good and strong. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom and get one of these, if we go and rinse it off, you'll see they're actually nature's spaghetti. And that's really good carbohydrate.
Now for some protein, and this river is full of my favourite, North American trout. Although I don't have anything like a hook to catch them with, there is another way.
Okay, what I've been doing here is trying to work my way up through a lot of these pools, looking for fish to try and do some hand fishing. And what happens often is the fish swim up into these pools but then can't get out. And in this one, there are a couple of fish that are in here. So the idea of getting these is to try and come round behind them very slowly and try not to disturb them. And what I want to do here, I don't know if you can see this one, is actually to come above, drive it down into the silt where I can get some grip, squeeze it tight and pull it out.
But it's not that easy.
Okay, and this one is a beauty, good size, it's going to be for dinner. And you can actually, these things, slip in his hole, but if you get your fingers in its gills, you'll stop it, and actually just rinse this off a bit. Get the silt off, don't go away, you little brute. You can actually, in a real emergency situation, eat these raw. Then go to the gut. I've got good meat there. It's the best sushi you'll ever have. And another few of these beauties, and I'm gonna have the best dinner I've ever had. I've got this bark, and I'm gonna line this bark with a load of mud, and I'm gonna make like a little oven, effectively, for these fish. So I line it with that, and then I use these goosefoot leaves to keep the mud away from the fish. Again, I lay more of these goosefoot leaves on the top. More mud all the way over that. And that's ready to get baking. To make sure the top of it cooks, get some of that nice kindling. But it should need just about 20 minutes. So that's that. While that's cooking, what I want to do is hang up my tin for any fish that I'm not using. We'll put those guts as well. Any fish that I don't eat this evening, I don't want to be leaving it around this camp while I'm sleeping. I am going to, just with a bit of my rigging lines, tie it around this rock. And then we go down to the river, where there's a nice big tree, throw this over a branch, and any surplus food can hang well out of harm's way.
Grizzlies travel vast distances in search of food, eating around 35,000 calories a day. The last thing I want is another hungry bear near my shelter. I'm putting this food at least 100 yards away from my camp.
And that is definitely beginner's luck. But then what I'm doing is just pull this up, and that's any surplus food well out of harm's way. So that's ready for after dinner. Okay, this should be nicely baked now. I should be able to roll that nice fish. And there you go, you can see the white of the fish I haven't popped out, which needs it cooked. And we peel back the skin like this, you can see really nice white meat there. And that is gonna be amazing.
It's the end of my second day, and so far it's been a roller coaster. Finding the river has been a real blessing. The bad news, rivers are the grizzlies' favourite hunting ground. I've been lost in the Rockies for over 2 days now. The camera crew is with me, but they're not allowed to interact with me in any way, unless my life's in complete danger. As I head into day 3, I'm getting tired and I'm feeling the strain. The only solution, keep moving and stay positive. No matter how tough it gets living rough, it's always important to freshen up in nature's restroom.
Really nice to have a good wash in the morning, and also I can use what are called horsetails to do my teeth. And what you do, you just break them off at the stem, and these bits actually clean your teeth. Really nice. My dentist would be proud of me. And then when you clean them, you can then just use the middle bit. There's a bit more abrasive, just to get all the plaque off. When I was 21, I had a freefall parachuting accident when my canopy ripped, and I broke my back in 3 places and had to spend 18 months in and out of hospital. And just at that time, the thought of ever being able to do all these things that I'd always be able to do well, like, you know, to climb and parachute, were just out of my reach. And for me, it's a real buzz to be back and doing all of these things that I love so much. Obviously, I'm sweating a lot out here, and it's really important to try and keep hydrated. But what I can't do is drink straight from the streams. Even though the water looks crystal clear, often it can carry these waterborne parasites, such as salmonella, hepatitis A, or giardia. And it's giardia that's particularly prevalent in the Rockies. And if you get it, you'll end up out of action for up to 2 or 3 weeks with diarrhea, vomiting. And that, for me, would be really bad news in the wilds. So what I'm going to do is actually boil up this water in the tin. Get that through there. Put it on the fire. Let that boil. And then flavour it with some of these rose hips that I found. And all I do is pick a load of these berries, crush them up really nicely, sit back, enjoy the view, and in 15 minutes I should have, as the English like to say, a good cup of tea. Okay, let's see what this tastes like. It's kind of like strawberries that aren't quite ripe, but it's certainly definitely better than giardia.
This journey is beginning to seem endless. I've been out here in the Rockies for 72 hours, and I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever make it out by my 5-day deadline.
One of the things I'm finding hard at the moment is just missing company, I think. You know, as a climber, I'm always so used to having a buddy right there with me, and I think it always gives you strength, just the fact that you're together. And I'm just, at the moment, if I'm honest, struggling, being so much on my own. And I just really miss just that encouragement, I think.
It's strange how you pass the time when you're lost in the wilderness. You don't really take in the beauty and the grandeur of the Rockies, for all the reasons most people come here in the first place. The snowcaps keep a frosting of snow all the year round, and if I can make myself stop and look, it's simply breathtaking. But right now, I only want one thing: to keep moving as fast as I can, so I can reach a road and safety. As the evening closes in, my journey along the river comes to an abrupt end. I'm not at all sure how to get out of this one.
I've now reached a point where I cannot go any further in the direction I want to travel. There's this huge river beneath me and these sheer cliffs to the side. What I can do, though, is that I can use this river to take me in the direction that I want to travel a hell of a lot faster, and I'm going to be able to walk through this sort of terrain. Rivers like this can be seriously dangerous, and on the whole, you do not want to be getting into this sort of river on your own unless it's a real emergency. But there is every chance that this river can take me all the way back down to civilization. And what I'm actually going to do is use my rucksack here and a plastic bag I found to act as a flotation device. This should hopefully keep me nicely afloat. And effectively, I'm going to whitewater raft down these rapids with this as my raft. Oh man, it's cold as well.
In the Rockies, all the water comes from snowmelt, so this river is glacial fed, averaging around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Hypothermia is a very real danger and the biggest killer in the Rockies. Only this year, 2 bodies were pulled out of the same river in this area. Both had been alone, and both had got hypothermia and drowned.
But the bottom line is, the speed this river's eventually going to pick up to, I'm going to have literally split seconds to react. But it's definitely better feet first than head first. Man, this is tiring. I really feel my heart pumping now. When you get onto a rock like this, you've really just got to use this to rest a bit. But one of the keys with these sort of rapids is aiming for what they call the tongue of it. And when you're in the water and you're going down, you can see this tongue build in front of you where all the main flow of the water is going. And the idea is to get into that, go with the flow, and try not to panic. Okay, this is quite a shallow part of the river here. And this is a classic time just for using my feet to fend off lots of little rocks so I can feel them under me all the way here. And this is exactly why you go feet first. Whoa, there's another one. Oh, man, just got pulled under up there. Normally you just pop straight up, but I was running out of puff then.
I floated downstream in near freezing water for what seemed like an age. I'm not quite sure, but I think I must have travelled at least 12 miles before I knew I just couldn't take the cold anymore.
I'm not feeling great at the moment, and I want to get out before it gets any worse and just try and get warm. Just feel how exhausted I am for... It's been almost like 4 days now of moving, and yeah, I just need to stop and get warm.
And the quickest way to do that is to boost the heart rate with physical exercise.
Just I couldn't feel less like doing 50 press ups at the moment. Yeah, I basically just I've got to get out of these wet clothes and I've got to get warm. And I've got to be able to try and get a fire going. Okay, what I'm going to try and do here is just build a fire down the whole length of this and into this corner here. And when it's going nice, I'm just going to pile a load of these stones onto it, get them really hot, and then all of this bit I'm going to cover more sand, and that's going to make a really nice warm like bed to sleep on. See, these sort of stones are going to be ideal to put in this fire bed and get these stones really nice and hot. This has died down enough now, it's fire, and these stones are going to be really hot. And what I do is just cover them really well. And these stones will stay hot for hours and hours and hours.
My body feels battered and bruised, but those hot stones help to ease the pain. As night falls, there's just one thought in my mind. Am I really getting any closer to home? It's day 4, and I'm beginning to feel pretty rough.
One of the things they say when you're in a survival situation is so important is to keep making decisions, not get stagnant and not just procrastinate. And they say it's better to make a wrong decision almost and just do nothing. And it's this process of moving that's eventually going to get you out of trouble. And this is what I'm hoping for.
I'm thirsty, hungry. I just want to find my way out.
People often talk about the survival instinct, and it's something all of us have, but not necessarily everybody finds. And I think sometimes life can be a little bit fluffy and we don't necessarily have that need to stay alive. But it is something that is within us all. Something needs to drive you, and for me at the moment, it's just wanting to see my family and see my wife Shara and my little boy Jesse, who's 2 a few days ago. And I just really wish it was him clinging around my neck at the moment rather than this rucksack that I'm carrying everywhere. But it's definitely that that's keeping me moving. just forgotten how physically demanding it is. Moving through the mountains and I'm just not as fit as when I was climbing every day. And you forget how hard it is. And the romance of this is definitely gone. And I'm just plain exhausted.
I'd been following the river for 2 days, and I'd just about given up hope. I was convinced I'd missed my 5-day deadline, when just like that, I found my salvation.
Oh man, a road. It's been a long 4 days. But there's an old saying that says if you're ever lost, all you've got to do is head downhill until you find a stream, follow the stream until you hit a track, and follow the track until you hit a road, and it's that road that's going to lead you back to civilization. And this is our road, and it's our ticket home.
It may be dangerous, but the only way to the road is straight down.
There's only one thing stopping me from reaching that road, and that's this cliff here, and then the river. And I'm kind of hoping this is the last time I'm going to have to use these parachute rigging lines to get me out of trouble. But this is probably about 60 foot, and I'm kind of praying also my rigging lines are going to reach the bottom, but then it's home and dry. I don't know what the braking strains on these parachute lines are, but they held me under my parachute. In my book, this comes into the category of dodgy. And the trick is not to do this too blooming often.
With the end in sight, I can't remember when I've last experienced such a range of emotions. A mixture of exhaustion, hunger and thirst, loneliness and real terror. But most of all, I feel a sense of achievement. I survived the Rockies, a journey I will never forget.
Survival is really about getting the job done, whatever the means, even if it's hitchhiking. And when you come across a road, there's only one thing to do. Try and tighten yourself up a bit and find a lift. Hey buddy, need a lift? Thanks my friend, saved my life.